Hello and welcome. Today I'm very excited to be talking to you guys about a rare opportunity that comes along, it feels like once in a blue moon for Border Patrol agents, and that is being able to do an operational mobility reassignment, or basically transfer from one station to another. They used to be called VRAs in the past, and they are rare, infrequent, unpredictable. So if you are a Border Patrol agent and you've got 2 years or more of experience and you are a GS 12 or below, stay tuned. This is for you. However, if you're an applicant or trainee, you're also going to want to watch so that you understand where to find these and to be able to be on the lookout for exactly what you're going to need to have as far as requirements in order to take advantage of these when the time comes. So let's go ahead and get started. You are going to go to the same USAJOBS website that you applied for when you first became a Border Patrol agent. So just type that in. And then we're going to do the same keyword, Border Patrol agent. Actually, just Border Patrol will work. When you do look for these reassignment opportunities or lateral transfers, as they're sometimes called, they vary in what they use for the title. So you're just going to have to scroll down. So it's going to have the designation internal to an agency because it's for current Border Patrol agents. So I didn't see it there. I'm going to click on the next one. So here we go. Border Patrol Agent Operational Mobility Reassignment Opportunity. This is the one that you want. And one of these things that I have noticed about these reassignment opportunities is they are generally not open for very long. So if you take a look at this, this was posted on the 29th of June. It'll be July 8th when I am publishing this. So that is going to give you just a very short amount of time, less than 2 weeks, for you to see this, get all the things done that you need to do, and apply for it. So these come out with very short windows of time to apply for them. So just be aware of that in the future. So we're going to go ahead and click this. And I'm just going to walk you through this and provide some information about transfers, about this one specifically, about what they're looking for, because there are some different requirements. This particular opportunity, they do have some funded relocation opportunities and some unfunded. They also give details in here about seniority and what is needed. If you are already a Border Patrol agent with the 2 years in that they require and you want to go ahead and apply for this, you have until July 10th, a minute before midnight. If you are an applicant or a trainee, it will be helpful for you to see one of these because you might not see another one for a while. These are the list of stations that do not have the one-time relocation incentive. So they have it broken up into non-incentive, and then they have a few that are one-time relocation incentives listed below. So you can kind of go through here and see. These are different than, for example, the hardship stations that you saw when you were first applying. You see some of the hardship stations in here don't include this relocation incentive. So that's something that's a little bit different than the normal application. So all of these are possible choices that you could make. And then we get down to the end. These are the ones that have the relocation incentive. These stations are eligible for a one-time relocation incentive. It is going to be different for each person depending on what your pay grade is, and up to 25% of your annual base pay. So kind of keep that in mind, whatever your specific grade is. It's this 25%. And they're calling this a relocation incentive. That's going to be different than what you see down below for moving expenses. So if you're going to be eligible for this relocation incentive, these are the specific requirements about these particular stations. And there's more information about this distance test later. Basically, they just want to make sure that you're not hopping across town. These are the specific employment requirements. These are going to be same for Border Patrol agents, so I'm not going to go through all of those. Same thing here about who can apply. This is a little bit more particular. So you have to have 2 years in with the Border Patrol. These are the pay grades. So if you are a 13, if you're a supervisor, something like that, you're not going to be eligible. Border Patrol agents in the bargaining unit, in the union. You can't have any sort of actions against you, suspensions, investigations, or anything like that. So if you do submit your application for this program, just be aware that you need to be willing to actually go to the station and pick up and move. Because if you don't and you decline it, it will prevent you from joining opportunities like this in the future. So that's the only potential negative about applying for this. You have to be able to do the duties, pass your probationary period. Pretty much if you have 2 years in, you will have already passed. It is not applicable to re-employed annuitants. Those are basically Border Patrol agents that have retired and then come back to serve again. They want you to be sure that you meet all of the qualifications, and they are going to do some verification after the application is submitted. They're going to be making sure that you meet all of those. So you will have had to meet those at the time that you applied. Also, if anything happens to your career, let's say that you promote, or anything that causes you not to meet the eligibility requirements after you've already applied, you're not going to stay in the running for this. So these are the qualifications. This is always contingent on budget, and funding is not guaranteed. And they're talking about cycles, so it would be amazing if they would do this regularly. That's always kind of been the talk. Years ago, there was talk about making these more regular, more consistent, to be able to provide for that mobility for agents, especially in historical years when they were not given a choice about their station like they are now. So this is kind of the opportunity to possibly make up for some of that. If you're selected, you can't get another reassignment 4 years. You have to meet everything by the closing date. So this is the relocation expenses. Okay, this is different than those other stations, the relocation incentive. So there are potential for 2 pieces of money here. So this is not the one that we looked at earlier that was a 25% of base pay. So it says agents that are relocating under this program will receive the following lump sum depending on their status. So these are in lieu of other types of payments. And it just gives you information here. If you're a one household, multiple person, or whether or not you own a home, you can look at these numbers here. These sums are all before taxes. And there is a situation in which you may have to pay this back, and I will bring that up as we get to it. So this is the verification process. It says that they do have a process within 90 days after your report date, basically confirming that you've already moved your residence to the new duty location. This is specific for those that are moving in or out of Puerto Rico. They're going to actually do a permanent change of station instead of the VRP. So this is the distance test. I don't think this is going to apply to too many people because most stations are so far apart. But if you're just trying to go across town, I know there are a few people that are hoping to do that. For example, like an Eagle Pass. I know there's some people from one station wanting to move just to the other station. That will not pass the distance test. It has to be at least 50 miles from your current residence. You cannot relocate until you have already gotten the travel authorization so that you can move to your new station location. This is talking specifically about having to remain an employee at the new duty location for at least a full year from your reporting date, or you're going to be required to repay the lump sum payment. So if for some reason you go to the new station and you decide to quit, you would be paying that back. Admin leave, they're going to give you 40 hours. If there are 2 CBPs from the same household that are moving, you're only going to get 1 lump sum. This talks about having to change your residence. This is the reporting time. If you don't own a house, you get 45 days. If you do own a house, you get up to 90 days to report. And this is specifically talking about the no-cost transfers. So those are the ones which you're not eligible for the GSA lump sum VRP payment. And this seems to be those management and funding dependent situations. It looks like they're leaving the door open to be able to do some, specifically talking about the no-cost transfers. So those are the ones which you're not eligible for the GSA lump sum VRP payment. And there's not a lot of detail about how that's going to work, but I'm glad that they did include that. Some agents are willing to move, transfer, change stations, even if it is an unfunded move. These are some of the requirements that they have under here. It's pretty much the same as a Border Patrol agent application. You're going to go through here some questions. So getting back to this specific information, this is about withdrawing. So if you do submit an application and then you withdraw from consideration, you're going to be banned from applying to future opportunities. Here's how to respond to an offer. You get 5 calendar days. You're going to have your confirmation offer sent electronically, so check out your email with that. Once you accept an offer, you're going to be removed from consideration. If you don't respond for 5 days, they're going to remove you from all of the location lists. And you're also going to be subject to the ban all that period of 2 years. However, if you decline an unfunded or no cost move, then it will not be penalized and you will remain on the list. So just keep that in mind. This gives you information about how they're choosing. And if you meet those qualifications, then you get referred to management for selection consideration. 60% of the spots for the funded relocations are going to be filled based on seniority, with the selections made to one of the applicant's chosen stations if there's an open spot for that. And then the remaining 40% of the spots are going to be designated by management to specific stations. So not necessarily the one that you have marked on your list. And then these slots will also be filled based on seniority. So pretty much everything is seniority based. No surprise, that's kind of how Border Patrol works. So this is how you find your seniority. So here's the requirements. And if you've been employed by Border Patrol for 2 years or more, this resume part probably will be different than what you used when you first applied. So USAJOBS now will only allow you to have that 2-page resume. So if you are trying to use a resume that you used when you first applied for Border Patrol and it was 2 years or more ago, you're probably going to have to do a new one. And this is just information about making sure everything is considered. So you don't need your SF50 because you're a current employee, but if you have it, you might as well throw it in there. You're going to have to go to this questionnaire. Let's see if it works this time. So it's going to be a bummer if you try to apply to this and then it doesn't work. I hope it works maybe on another browser or something. So right now, none of that's working. Okay, and that's pretty much how to apply. You're going to click the apply button right up here, go through the process. They're going to give you some prompts. If you don't have a current USAJOBS account, you're going to have to make one. Also, USAJOBS will automatically decline your application if you are missing any of these things. So you have to have your resume, you have to do that questionnaire, and if there's any sort of supporting documents, etc., you have to have all that in by the 10th. So here in a couple days. So if this is something that interests you, I would recommend that you get on it right away. There's no veterans preference for this specific announcement. It's just your seniority that is going to be used. This is the contact person. So if you have questions about this, if you want to know more, get a hold of this person. There is their phone number. Here is their email, and just ask away. So there you have it. That is the Border Patrol Agent Operational Mobility Reassignment Opportunity. They title it differently at different times. In previous years, they called it Voluntary Relocation Assignment. I think at times they've also called it like lateral something or other. So that's why I recommend that when you get ready to do this, when you're going back to USAJOBS and you're looking for these, you just type in Border Patrol and don't put anything else. So that way you can basically be presented with this list of opportunities. I hope this was helpful. I hope that if you are considering moving, that you will be able to apply for this and hopefully get to where you want to go. If you are an applicant or trainee or junior agent, maybe you've just passed probation, I'm feeling pretty optimistic that Border Patrol is trying to present more opportunities for Border Patrol agents to move than I have ever seen before in the totality of my experience with Border Patrol. And I feel like that is a positive sign. I do think that they are beginning to understand, just beginning to understand how important it is for some agents to get back home, how important it is for some agents to get back to aging parents, to be able to provide care for them. And it's been a humongous source of contention for Border Patrol agents who were simply assigned a station to see these new hires that have not been trained, getting these huge hiring bonuses, recruitment incentives, and getting to pick from a big list of stations when there was no bonus for them and they were assigned a station. They were given no choice whatsoever. Even on the state, many times helps level the playing field a little bit. It's not going to help those agents get those years back with family that they had to move away from, but it is an opportunity for hope, I think. I think it's an opportunity for boosting morale, for improving the overall sentiment that Border Patrol agents have about Border Patrol and about their opportunities for the future. So I think this is a really great move in the right direction for Border Patrol. I sincerely hope that they begin to offer this opportunity regularly and just be able to get those well-trained, experienced agents closer to where they're going to be happy, closer to where home is or where it is that they're trying to get for the details or the different assignments that they're most interested in.